My hair looks wild, but I feel like that's on brand. Hey, what is up everyone? It's Emily and it is Pride Month 2023. Once again, I'm going to be recommending you some LGBTQ+ books to read this Pride Month or the rest of the year. But before we get started, hi, my name's Emily and I make writing and bookish content here on YouTube. Okay, disclaimer before I get too far into this video. I have read some of these books and I've not read some of the other books, but the books that I haven't read are books that are currently on my TBR and that I have read the reviews and the back of the book about and everything, and they sound really amazing, or they're by authors that I already love. I feel like I do this every year, but I always feel like I need to say that just in case someone reads it and I have misrepresented something. I will tell you the books that I have read versus the ones that I haven't read yet. There's just so many books that come out every year and I want to read all of them, and I can never catch up in time for Pride Month when I'm recommending all the books that I want to read. So yeah, that's just me being super upfront about that. Also, a lot of these are going to be mostly YA fiction. I have some other ones mixed in here as well, but I mostly read YA fiction, so that is kind of where a lot of this sits. But I also have a few other videos recommending more LGBTQ books as well, which I will have those linked down below. Also, I will have all of the books mentioned in this video and more in my bookshop.org link down in the description as well if you want to check those out and support indie bookstores. And with all of that out of the way, let's get started. This first book is one that I have just started listening to on audiobook. It is called A Little Bit Country, and it is so cute so far. It is a YA coming-of-age novel that follows two boys named Emmett and Luke. Emmett wants to be a country music star. That is his big dream, his passion. He loves Dolly Parton. That is his thing. And he gets the opportunity to sing music at this place called, I think, Wanda World for the summer. So for 3 months, it's his first time leaving home. He's going to go perform his country music in hopes of being a country music star. This will be the first time that he has left home. He's moving to Tennessee for the summer. He's so excited. And Luke is the grandson of a disgraced country music singer, but when his mom falls ill and the bills are getting tight, he takes a job at Wanda World as well to help make ends meet. And from there, that's how it all goes. So I'm so excited to finish this book. It is so cute so far. I am loving the writing style. It's very fun. I believe they said that this is very much Dumplin' meets Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda, and I'm definitely feeling that. So if you loved either of those books, this is going to be a great pick for you. I grew up on country music, so I'm a big fan of this, and it's just so cute so far. I'm loving the character and the tone of voice that the author uses, and also all the country music references. It's very sweet. So definitely a great pick. The next book is Tell Me How It Ends by Quintin Lee, which I have yet to read, but this one is everything I want in a book and more. This book is going to be perfect for witchy, tarot-loving sapphics. It is a coming-of-age, cozy fantasy story, which what more do you want? I don't know. I recently just got this book yesterday until June 5th. So depending on when you watch this video, it will still be free in the Kindle store. I downloaded it yesterday. I'm going to read this one hopefully very, very soon. Big fan of witchy sapphic stories. We follow Iris, and Iris has been tasked to prove her worth to the family and the family business, or to be basically banished from the family forever, unless she can get 1,000 coins. And I don't know if that's their money or what. I think it is. So she needs to get all this money to prove her worth to the family and the business, or else she'll be asked to leave forever. Pretty harsh, but things happen. Soon after this, she's approached by another woman named Marin, and she asks Iris to help her rescue a witch who's been wrongfully convicted and is being held prisoner in a nearby kingdom. If you don't want to read it after that, I don't know what more to tell you. I mean, this book is perfect for me. I don't know. I'm very excited to read it. The next book I want to talk about is Fake Dates and Mooncakes, and this one just... I saw the cover and I was like, this is adorable. I need to read this book yesterday. I also have a soft spot for the fake dating trope. I'm not into too many tropes, but that's one of them that gets me every time. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about fake dating, but I love it. They say that this one is Heartstopper meets Crazy Rich Asians, and that description alone has me very enthusiastic about this book. It's a rom-com with two boys named Dylan and Theo. Dylan is going to be competing in the teen chef competition at a local autumn festival to help gain some publicity for his aunt's Chinese takeout business in, I think, Brooklyn. I think this takes place in New York. And Theo is charming and handsome and wealthy, and he kind of comes along and sweeps Dylan off his feet and asks him to be his date to this wedding in the Hamptons. So I can't even imagine what sort of hijinks this book is going to get into, but it sounds amazing and I cannot wait to read it. I think I have this one on audiobook as well, so I will be hopefully listening to that sometime this month. Our next book is an adult fantasy called Ink Blood Sister Scribe, which is a tongue twister for me. And this one follows two estranged sisters, which immediately intrigued me. One is named Esther, and she actually lives in Antarctica, trying to avoid whatever happened that killed her mother. And the other sister, I think her name's Joanna, she lives in Vermont, and when her father is very abruptly killed, she realizes that she needs to meet up with Esther again, and they need to figure out what is happening with their family, and secrets are revealed. This book is really intriguing to me. There's I read the description and I'm like, okay, I kind of understand what's happening here, but I feel like there's a lot more to this than the back of the book is telling me, so I am really excited to read this one. The representation in it is that one of the sisters is queer. I don't know in what way. I'm also a big fan of books that have representation in them, even if it doesn't revolve around a romantic relationship or with that person being LGBTQ. So I wanted to add this one on here for that reason, but also it just sounds really amazing. Next is the book She Gets the Girl, which I have definitely talked about on my channel at some point. This is a super cute, I think it's still technically YA. It's a college romance. It's the first year of college. We follow Alex and Molly. And I don't know if any of you play the game Life is Strange, but Alex and Molly give me very much Max and Chloe vibes, where Alex is this kind of bad girl, really flirtatious, kind of like a rock star, doesn't really care what other people think about her. She's kind of got that thing going. And Molly is an overly anxious individual who cares too much about what other people think. It's pretty adorable, and I relate to Molly on every level. In the beginning, Alex is trying to win her ex-girlfriend back because her ex-girlfriend says she's selfish, and Alex is I'm not selfish, I help people all the time who aren't me. And in order to prove that to her ex-girlfriend, she decides to take Molly under her wing and help her win her crush. There's so much that I love about this book. It is honestly a top 10 book for me in terms of YA romance. There's something so fun and nostalgic about it. When I read about people back in college, I'm oh my gosh, I totally remember what that was like. I remember eating in the caf. I remember seeing people in the library. I remember wanting to meet up with friends, living in the dorms. It's just such a fun read. But on top of that, it has this incredibly down to earth rock that it sits on, where these people are also dealing with very real struggles that affect them, and they're not just kind of thrown in there to just have not happy moments. They're really integrated into the story and the characters and why they are the way that they are. I just absolutely love this book. Super fun, 10 out of 10. The next book is Out of Character, which I actually read an arc of, and then I feel I forgot to review it, but I really liked this book. It is definitely a book for the nerdy girls out there who are ashamed of their nerdy selves. I am with you 100%. That was me in high school. I know how that is. Our main character, Cassidy, is 17, and she is a huge sci-fi nerd, and I don't think this is a real thing. I feel I would have heard of it. It's called Tide Wars, and I think it's a kind of a play on Star Wars. She is a huge Tide Wars fan. They're these big novels and these movies and TV shows and whatnot. And she also does role play online with a group of friends. And she is very insecure and hides that part of her life away from everyone, including her parents. And she's also dealing with a very messy divorce between her parents as well at the same time. And so she's kind of feeling very isolated. And while she uses role play to escape her day-to-day life, she realizes that it's kind of consuming her entire life and is affecting her school grades and her relationships with her friends. But when the cool girl, Taylor, takes an unexpected interest in her and they start dating, Taylor is starting to suspect that Cassidy is hiding something from her. This book is so fun and so perfect for people who are nerds at heart and just feel that people won't accept them for who they are fully. And I love that the main character, Cassidy, is a super flawed main character. She does things that I probably wouldn't do, but I feel like that just makes her more human, and like it was so great following her story. The next book I want to talk about is All That's Left in the World. This is one that I talked about in my books to recommend if you love The Last of Us, because this has a lot of similar vibes going on as The Last of Us in terms of like we're in a post-apocalyptic United States, but if instead of a 40-year-old man and a young girl, we have like two teenage boys, and they are journeying from like the Rhode Island, Massachusetts area down to like Florida. So we traverse a lot of country there. And one of the boys has a broken leg, and they're like trying to travel down, you know, the side of the coast, the eastern coast of the United States. I like cannot speak. Oh my gosh. And we follow their journey as they meet all kinds of people, good, bad, in between, all while having to rely on each other to survive. What I really loved about this book is how one of the main characters is just very openly gay. He's just like, yep, that's me. That's who I am. The book and the story doesn't revolve around him or his sexuality, nor does it revolve around the romance at all. I feel like it's more of a journey about these two boys, like figuring out who they are and like escaping a world that is so different than ours and what even they were used to, and like grief and loss and having to be an adult without parents anymore, figuring out who you can trust, who your friends are, and like dealing with doing horrible things to people in order to survive. And then underneath that, this like undercurrent of love with like a teeny tiny romance. It's like hardly in there, in my opinion. It's definitely not the focus of the story at all, even though it follows the two boys. I think that if you're someone like me who like doesn't always want to read romance, but you want to have a good story with queer characters, that this is a really great pick for that. The next book I want to talk about is Loveless, and this is like probably one of my favorite books of all time. I think I recommended this last year in one of my videos, but I hadn't read it yet, and now I have finally read it, and I can tell you it is just as good as I thought it was going to be. Alice Oseman never disappoints me. Basically, we follow our main character, Georgia, and she is kind of discovering her sexuality in terms of her asexuality specifically. At the beginning of the book, she doesn't even know what that is. This book has such a great, diverse cast with a ton of personality. Like, this book is like so heartwarming and heartbreaking, and you get so frustrated about what's happening on the page. There's also like tons of theater stuff mixed in there, which is just so fun. And I love this book so much. It's like everything. And I really think it comes down to community. This book is about community and finding your place in it, and like having people who love and support you for exactly who you are, and about how people have so much love to give each other that doesn't have to revolve around romantic or sexual relationships. Just love the story and the message of this book, and how you can love your friends, and that is fulfilling, and like the love that you have for your friends is real love. And that I think that maybe we put too much pressure on romantic relationships, and how having those friendships is just as important. And like Alice, as always, does an amazing job with the asexual representation. So you know what's great. I love this book so much. I will not shut up about it. The next book is Pet, and it's like, I think it's a novella. It's very short, but it packs a huge punch. This book was unlike pretty much anything I've really read. It's kind of its own deal, where Jam is our main character, and she lives in this kind of utopian society, I guess you could say, where like there used to be these monsters, but now monsters don't exist. But one day, a drop of her blood on her mother's canvas makes a monster or a creature come out of the painting and like come alive, and she names it Pet. And she's like, we need to do something about this monster. This is not really great. This is dangerous. But no one in the world believes that monsters exist anymore. And, you know, who's going to help someone when they think that it's not even real, what they're talking about? This book is like really haunting and beautiful. And like I said, it's so fast. Like if anything, having it be as short as it is the downfall of the book, because I feel like there's a lot more that could be explored within the book. But the characters and just everything is just so interesting, and it's a great addition to anyone's TBR. And then along with this one, Bitter, which is like the prequel, also an amazing book. So just yes. The next book is Letters I'll Never Send, and this takes place 8 months after our main character Sadie was admitted into a psych hospital. and Sadie isn't sure if she's ready to face the world yet, nor the reasons that she was put into the psych hospital. And after 8 months, a lot has changed. Her daughter is going to school and isn't sure if she's comfortable with her mom being home. Her wife's trying to navigate this new dynamic between the two of them, as well as her friend had recently been diagnosed with cancer for the 3rd time. So there's a lot going on here, and it deals a lot with grief and death and anxiety and moving on, but also remembering and the changes and hardships that just go along with being a human being. This book was relatable, but also so comforting at the same time. And I feel like it's another really fairly quick read that is just so, emotional, and it just really sticks with you. And it's something that I've still been thinking about. And it has a great relationship dynamic between the two women. There's just a lot there. And Nicole is an amazing author. And I really love this book. The next book I want to talk about is Just Ash. And this book features an intersex main character named Ash. And I wanted to put this one on the list, even though I haven't read it yet, because I feel like when we talk about LGBTQ people, I did it just right there. The I and the A at the end of it never really gets talked about. And the I in LGBTQIA stands for intersex. And I don't see tons of intersex books being talked about, so I wanted to make sure I included one on my list. So in this book, Ash, our main character, has grown up socially as male, even though he has both male and female organs. And he's totally okay with that. He's completely fine with growing up male until during a soccer practice, he begins menstruating. And I'm sure you can assume what happens because of that. Everyone starts to look at him differently and question him and his gender and everything about him, basically. And the entire world seems to view him differently, even his parents. But Ash just wants to be Ash. Now, this book really intrigues me, and I love that the author is intersex herself. And so she talks about these issues in the book. And a lot of the reviewers have said that this book also reads, kind of educationally, like they learned something when reading this book as well, which I love when books do that for me. So this is definitely one that I want to pick up and read, because I'm always looking at diversifying and expanding my reading and learning more than I knew before. And I feel like learning from the people who experience it firsthand are the people that we should be listening to. And our last book for today is called Imogen, Obviously. I saw this book at the store and I picked it up because, first of all, this cover is gorgeous and I love the color palette, and I have read Becky Albertalli before and I have enjoyed a lot of her work, but I haven't read this one yet. But it sounds very good. And basically our main character Imogen is a hopeless heterosexual and the world's greatest ally. But when she goes to visit her queer best friend Lily at her college, she finds out that her friend Lily has told all of her new college friends that she and Imogen used to date. And as Imogen spends more time with Lily and her friends, including a girl named Tessa, she's starting to question if the truth was ever that she was straight to begin with. I'm a huge fan of Becky's writing style, so I cannot think that this will disappoint. I feel like she always has a kind of levity to her work, and this definitely feels like it's going to have that sort of levity, cutesy, romantic element to it. Down below in the description, I also have a ton of links to more lists and more books for you to check out if you're interested. If you enjoyed this video, as always, please be sure to like it and subscribe to my channel for more content. I hope you found something great to read this month. If you did, let me know in the comments down below what you're planning on reading. To those who celebrate with me, happy Pride, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.